Hello everyone. Welcome to GS Core. So in our series of daily current affairs through MCQs, we are going to look at 5 MCQs based on today's current affairs. So let's have a glance through the topics that we are going to touch upon today. So the first is the Digital Markets Act, and I am here talking about the EU's Digital Market Act. The second is the commercialization of land in the Cauvery catchment area. So there have been reports wherein the commercialization is leading to certain undesirable developments bordering illegality in the catchment area. Also, the next topic is going to be about the World Food Programme and the Malawi food crisis in particular. And we will be looking at the Central Africa and the food crisis there in general. The next is going to be about B cells and vaccines and how certain B cells have an effect on the efficacy of vaccines. And last but not the least, the concept of isopods. What are they? How do they actually exist in the environment? We'll see them. This is regarding the recent discovery of a particular isopod. Alright, so let's get on to the very first question. So like I said, it is about the Digital Markets Act or the new Digital Markets Act of the European Union. If you see, EU is at the forefront with regards to the tech companies and actually regulating them, whether it is about the hardware regulations regarding chargers, data localization, privacy, right, certain biased practices regarding search results, etc. So in situations like these, the concepts, approach and the skills become crucial. The concepts, of course, whatever is in news regarding science and technology and the application, right, because anything and everything regarding this needs to get regulated on what is legal and what is not legal, and hence the regulatory mechanisms become important. With regards to skills, because the questions are deductive in nature, you need to have application orientation as well as the recall and interlinking, without which you cannot solve such questions. So a prudent approach for such a question always is to see the underlying idea, that is the Digital Markets Act. So the concepts, the areas it covers, features, right, stakeholders. So all this mapping must be clear. So let us look at the question, right. If you look at the format, it's a pretty standard format wherein we can use elimination and we need to find the correct statement. With respect to Digital Markets Act, consider the following statement. For user data regulation, users must give their explicit consent to gatekeepers for their activities to be tracked for advertising purposes. That is correct. That is one of the features of explicit consent. Next, so the moment we get the first statement correct, so either the answer is this or this, that is A or C and not B or D. So everything hinges on now on the second statement. Only those social platforms or app with at least 10,000 active business users are eligible as gatekeepers under the Act. This statement is incorrect. This statement is incorrect, right? If you look at the gatekeeper designated either own a social media platform or app that is used by at least 45 million people every month, or have 10,000 active business users. So this is one of the criteria, not the only criteria. And hence, on this technicality, the fact, this statement becomes incorrect. Therefore, our answer is A. Our answer is A. Next, the commercialization of land in the Cauvery River catchment area. If you see the news, recently the activists from Kodagu have urged the state government to end large scale commercialization in this area, right? Because it is affecting the water flow. So with regards to concept, the rivers, their importance, right, and their conservation. So all these things become important. Now, if you see the question is on the factual lines. So if you look at the question, since it is on the factual line, there can always be a focus area in the news and there is a locus area. So the news item might be about something, but the question can be formed from the periphery. So regarding Cauvery River, you should know certain things because it is in news, right? So you will have to map the dependencies. With regards to questions like this, the skill that is needed is fact retention skill. Also, we need further application, and more than application, the interlinking and extrapolation, because you see the question is from the locus. So an approach should help with mapping. If you have the idea river, the tributaries, distributaries, areas, crops, region, rainfall, all these ideas if you have, then you can answer such a question. So let us read the question, and before that we see the format. So the format is how many. So we cannot use the elimination. It cannot be used. The Krishna Raja Sagara Dam is on the river Cauvery. So it is correct. Hemvati, Shimsha and Arkavati are its tributaries. This is also correct. Kodagu, since it was in news, see, is a catchment area near Bengaluru made by the river. This is also correct. Since all the three statements are correct, therefore the option to mark would be option C. Option C. Next, the World Food Programme and the Malawi food crisis. If you look at the news, Malawi, which is in Central Africa, has declared a state of disaster over drought in 23 out of its 28 districts, right? And it has seen extreme weathers in recent years, and the World Food Programme has listed that about 50 million people in Central Africa are under the threat of drought-induced food crisis. Drought-induced food crisis. Now, if you look at the format, it is statement 1 explains statement 2 kind of a format. So the skills that you need is application and interlinking, right? Also the fact skill, retention skill, because first we need to check the correctness or incorrectness of the statement. The concept, if you look at, is much of in news, and within news, if you look at World Food Programme, you need to know its postulates. What is its functioning, role, funding, operations, etc. So an approach to such a question should always be built around the postulates and their reasoning. Now, let us look at the statements. The World Food Programme has no independent source of funds, right? It has no independent source of fund. It is funded by voluntary donations. To that extent, statement 1 is correct. Okay, next. The World Food Programme is headquartered in Rome, Italy. This is also correct. But you see, both are correct but have no relation. And that is clear, very, very clear. So, similar questions regarding World Wildlife Foundation, UNICEF, right, WTO, etc. can be asked. Both the statements are correct, but having headquarters is a fact. It does not explain the source of funds, right? So, our answer should be option B. Option B. Moving further, it is about B cells and the vaccines. So, if you look at a recent study, it has found that not all vaccines are developed, all vaccines which are developed are used to make antibiotics with the help of B cells. So, general idea was that vaccines lead to the development of bodies through the use of B cells, right? But this has been proven that this does not always happen. That not all vaccines developed are used to make antibodies with the help of B cells. There are other mechanisms. So, the concepts which is there is the vaccine, right? With regards to vaccine, you have types, mechanisms, and how they interact apart from the diseases, right? There are invasive vaccine, oral vaccines, right? With regards to COVID, we have seen a lot of them. Okay, so regarding the skills, you not only need facts, but also you need application, because it's science and technology. So, the approach should always be to look at the concepts and then look at the application in the light of facts. Now, if you look at the format, it is statement 1 explains statement 2 kind of a format. So, you need interlinking as well, whether the statements explain each other or not, right? So, let us look at the statement. Memory T cells protect the human body from infection by making proteins called antibodies. It is rather B cells and not the T cells, and hence this statement is incorrect. So, the moment this statement becomes incorrect, you can rule out this option, and statement 1 incorrect, only D option is left, but always check the entire question. Let us look at the statement 2. T cells protect you by destroying pathogens and sending signals that help coordinate your immune system's response to the threats, right? That is correct. That is correct. So, we already deduced the answer. The answer is option D. So, like I said, the mechanisms, the functioning, right, is very important. Moving on to the last question, and it is about the isopods, right? So, recently researchers have discovered an isopod near Kollam in Kerala, right, which is called as deep sea isopod, right? It feeds on fish, and the new species belong to the genus Brucethoa, right? And with regards to if you look at isopods, the concept Here is important, the species and its features. So they have 2 pairs of antenna, compound eyes, 4 set of jaws, 7 body segments, each with a pair of walking legs. So it's like this, they have legs and you have 7 such pairs. Please pardon my poor drawing, right? 7 pairs. A small abdominal segment with 6 fused segments called pleons. So, with regards to skills and approach for such a question, it is always the fact and your ability to recall, because there are, the identification is important. Also, I would say deduction to a certain extent, because it is now comparing a broader family of organisms. So you have crabs, shrimp, seahorses, and it is asking how many of the above are isopods, right? So if you look at the concept, isopods are invertebrates, right? They belong to a larger family called crustaceans. That includes crab and shrimp. That includes crab and shrimp. Seahorses are different. Seahorses are like these. They are different, right? Whereas crabs are different. The shrimp is again different, right? So the crabs and shrimp roughly belong to the same family. It is not the seahorses. So if we see out of the 3, 2 are there, and hence the option to mark would be option B. Option B. So with this, we have come to the end of this particular session. You will find more current affairs on, in our today's daily current affairs compilation, right? A link for which will be there in the description. That's all. Thank you.